everyone, welcome to another video. Today we will do a revision of SAT Math2 level. So in case this is your last day before the exam, in this video you will be achieving your goal of getting a higher mark at SAT level 2. So let's start with each chapter. First of all, linear equations or functions. Let's say functions. Linear functions. So we know that linear functions do look like this. Equals to 0. This is the y-intercept. And this is the slope. What is the slope exactly? So slope, it's actually also known as gradient, equals to, let's say y2 or rise upon run. Or if you have between 2 points, y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Now let's talk about these slopes and actually gradients. So parallel lines have the same gradient and perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals. What does this mean? Let's say f of x equals to, or a line, let's just say a line, 5x squared, x simple, 5x plus 1 equals to 0. A parallel line to this one will be minus 1 upon 5x. So you get it? You just first this one. The inverse would be 1 upon 5 and you put minus in front of it. This is the short method. The longer method is m1 times m2 equals to minus 1. Okay, hope you got this. Alright, now the next one is the distance between two coordinates. Let's write them like this, and x2, y2. So the distance between them would be, let's write it like this, would be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. This is another formula that you have to memorize or logically learn. Okay, now let's go to quadratic. Let's keep it like this. Quadratic functions. Alright, so a general quadratic equation would look like this, where C is the y-intercept. What does y-intercept mean? Let's look at this graph, for example. Okay, and this is the function. Y-intercept means where the function graph intersects the y-axis. This is the y-axis, this is the x-axis, so it would intersect here. So here would be the y-intercept. Alright, and A is the slope, or the gradient, which we just talked about. Okay, now let's talk about the fact that every quadratic function has the graph of a parabola. There can be a cup shape or a cape shape. So this one is when A is positive. This one is when A is negative. Alright, also let's talk about the vertex. This one is the vertex, this one, this one. The coordinates of the vertex are, here you are, minus 2, minus b upon 2a, and c minus b squared upon 4a. So these ones are the coordinates of the vertex, and there is also axis of symmetry equation, which is this one, which will have its equation x equal to minus 2ba, which is actually this one. Okay, now let's talk about the sum of zeros or roots. Will be minus b upon a, and the product will be c upon a. These are also known as the relations of Viet, if you know it. Alright, now let's go to the triangle trigonometry. Let's write it somewhere here. Triangle trigonometry. So, we know already sine, cosine, and so on. You just have to know that, let's write like this. Those, I will write it like this. This is cosecant. This is secant. Okay, and there is also this one. Alright, this is all we have to know about the triangle trigonometry. Now let's go to the laws of sine and cosine. Now let's talk about this. Law of sine says that, let's have this triangle, for example. Okay, it's not the most perfect triangle, but I'll try to make it A, B, C. Okay, this is A, this is C, this is B, this is angle A, this is angle B, and this is angle C. Alright, now sine of A, this one, upon A, this one, equals to sine of B upon B equals to sine of C upon C. So it's just, let's draw it. This angle upon this, and then this angle upon this, and then this angle upon this. All of them are equal to, all these ratios are equal to one another. Now there is the law of cosine. Let's write it here. So it's the same, we'll use the same triangle. A squared equals to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of A, and b squared equals to a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine of b. And the same thing for the c squared. So what is the science, the trick behind this is the fact that here is a, okay? In this case, we will have a. So which other letters are the left ones? C and B. So we will write b squared plus c squared minus 2 of these, okay, times this. And now we will go back to A and write cosine of A. So the only thing that is related to A is the cosine thing, because it's the law of cosine. The rest is just about the others, okay? And the same is for B squared. So the rest, you just ignore this B, and then take c squared and plus a squared minus 2ac, c here and here, now times cosine of b, and the same thing for c squared. Alright, now let's talk about the circle. So here we have the circle, okay, and this is the diameter, the angle, arc length. So we will first calculate the arc length, this one, which is equal to r times the angle. This is the formula. And then we will calculate the sector. So the sector will be this one. Okay. And the sector will be equal to 1 over 2 times r squared times angle. This one is it. Okay. Now, the other thing that we have to work on is the exponential and logarithmic functions. So the first thing that is really important and you really have to know it is that logarithm of this actually means that a powered x equals to b. So this is like a really simple thing that you have to know about the logarithm. Okay, then you just have those rules that logarithm of this is just basic concepts that you just know. Alright, now let's go to the conic sections. This one is the trickiest one, but it's very easy actually. So, conic sections. Okay, first we will talk about the standard equation of a circle, which is x squared plus y squared equals to r squared. R is the radius. Okay, now the standard equation of an ellipse. So this one is the circle. This one is the ellipse, which looks like this. Circle looks like this. Okay, ellipse may look like this or like this. The elongation may differ. So when the major axis is horizontal, I mean in this case, the equation will be x squared upon a squared plus y squared upon b squared equal to 1, which means, this is the x-axis. And if the major axis is on the x-axis, this means that a and x are together. However, if the major axis, the longer one, is on the y-axis, then the equation will be different. So it will be x squared upon b squared. See the difference? So it will be exactly the opposite. See? Where a squared equals to b squared plus c squared. Now let's talk about the hyperbola. In this case, if this transverse axis is horizontal, then the formula is this one. And if the transverse axis is vertical, then this one is the formula. It's the same case, except that here, when it's y, those two y, and they are next to each other, and when it's x and a are next to each other. Okay, where c squared equals to a squared plus b squared. Now, the polar coordinates, there are three major formulas that you have to know. X equals to r cosine of angle, x squared plus y squared equals to r squared, y equals to r sine angle. Okay, now all we have to know about the next one is the permutation formula, permutation and combination. So, combination is when order doesn't matter, and permutation is when order does matter. So the formula of the permutation will be equal to this, while the combination formula can be also written like that, and the formula will be equal to this. Notice there is just a difference. They are the same. See, this one is permutation, except it's here multiplied with our factors. So now let's talk about the matrices. So we have this matrix, and its determinant will be equal to AD minus BC. So you know that vectors are actually matrices. So here is a really important trick I will tell you. So let's say we have a matrix of R rows and C columns, and another matrix with R2 rows and C2 columns. So they should only be multiplied if R2 and C1 are equal. So this one must be equal. However, we know also that the product, that's the result of that multiplication, will have R1 rows and C2 columns. So this one is the product of that multiplication. So this is a really important and really tricky thing that you can just memorize and will help you a lot. Now the arithmetic sequence, arithmetic sequence will be, the nth term will be this, and the sum of n terms will be this. However, on the geometric ones, the nth term will be like this one, while the sum will be this one I am just writing. Okay, and these were all the formulas about the sequences. Now you have to know about the vectors. So vectors are just matrices. Vectors. Okay, so two vectors, you just know this thing about vectors, that with how they are multiplied and things like that, but this one is a really tricky thing. If their product is 0, this means that the two vectors v and u are perpendicular. Okay, and that's all. All you have to know is these ones which I have written and explained them to you. Hope they will be useful, and good luck for your SAT Math 2 level. Thanks a lot for watching, and do not forget to subscribe.